everyone. Welcome to the Seastone Lowdown. My name is Logan. Welcome to week whatever of quarantine, but we are still strong here on the Seastone Lowdown. This is our 8th episode, or 8th week doing this. And we're still doing well here at the church. We're still supporting each other well, loving one another well. Our unity community here, I think, is so strong still. I want to thank Chris Jermaine for speaking last Sunday. He was talking about that unity and how that unity leads us to kindness and acting patiently and lovingly towards other people. So thank you, Chris, for doing that. Really appreciated that message. And if you guys didn't catch that, you can actually catch it on our YouTube channel. Just go down a little bit. Our last video, we save all of our live streams onto our channel, so you guys can check that out if you didn't catch it or any of our messages actually. So you can keep your eyes peeled that way. Last week I talked to you about possibly opening up a little bit here with our state restrictions and maybe looking at church meeting back sometime sooner or later. Well, this week Governor Newsom came out and said that this could be extended out to July, or maybe, so we might be looking at reconsidering that more towards July than we are in June, which I think is unfortunate. Definitely stinks. We would love to get back to meeting in person as soon as we possibly can. So hopefully that doesn't materialize. Maybe the restrictions are lifted a little earlier. We are still talking about it. We're praying about it as the board and leadership of the church. And if you guys would join us in praying about that as well, we would really love to get back to meeting in person. We think that's so valuable. But also we want to respect our earthly authority, as the Bible tells us to do, and respect those who have been put in power over us. So we want to do both well. So if you guys could just be praying as a church with us, that we would continue as a church to be able to do quarantine well, and as our community meets together virtually, but also that we be praying for our leaders in our world, in our nation, that they would lead us well, and that we would hopefully be able to get back to meeting together soon, because we would really love that, and we are looking forward to when that can happen. So for our devotional day, I wanted to read you guys something from a devotional book that I go through, that Chris Jermaine, who we talked about, who spoke last week for us. This devotional book by Oswald Chambers called My Utmost for His Highest, which is this kind of daily devotional that I've been going through. I found really helpful, and there's this one on May 7th that was particularly insightful for me that I thought would be good for us to talk about as a church, as it's talking about this idea of building for eternity. Building our lives for eternity, building up our stockpile even for eternity, not for here. As we go through life, Jason Tank told me this last week. He was saying, there's no like last week or next week or whatever. There's only 3 days that exist. There's no Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's just yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's only 3 days that are around right now, which I feel like a lot of us are feeling, and just this kind of monotony of quarantine and just the similar lifestyles we're all going through right now. So this idea of building for eternity opposed to building for right now in this present life is actually something I think we can really grasp onto for this time in this quarantine, and we look at how to honor God with our lives, even in the midst of our lives being changed rather drastically. So I'm going to read this to you guys, and Luke, it's based off of Luke 14:28, where Jesus says this: "Which of you intend to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it?" And this is what Oswald Chambers says. He says, "Our Lord was not referring here to the cost which we have to count, but to a cost which has already been counted. The cost was those 30 years in Nazareth, those 3 years of popularity, scandal, and hatred, the unfathomable agony he experienced in Gethsemane, and the assault upon him at Calvary. The central point upon which all time and eternity turns. Jesus Christ has counted the cost. In the final analysis, people are not going to laugh at him and say, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.' The conditions of discipleship given to us by our Lord in verses 26, 27, and 33 of Luke 14 mean that the men and women he is going to use in his mighty building enterprises are those in whom he has done everything. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple," Jesus says in Luke 14. This verse teaches us that only men and women our Lord will use in his building enterprises are those who love him personally, passionately, and above all with extreme devotion. Those who have love for him that goes far beyond any of the closest relationships on earth. The conditions are strict, but they are glorious. All that we build is going to be inspected by God. When God inspects us with his searching and refining fire, will he detect that we have built enterprises of our own or on the foundation of Jesus Christ? I just think as we think about our lives right now and we think about what life is like in quarantine, how are we building our lives? What is our foundation? Is it family structure? Is it political affiliations? Is it how we view, how we're reacting to coronavirus? What Jesus is saying here in Luke 14 is that we're supposed to build our lives exclusively on Christ, and Christ promised to build our lives out of Him. And ultimately, He will use us in incredible, incredible ways. And He tells us to count the cost, right? Anyone who's going to build something is going to sit down and look how much it's going to cost and see if they can afford to finish it. Right? Building for eternity means that we sit down in our lives on a day-to-day basis and we count the cost of saying, what is it going to look like for me to follow Christ in this situation? Right? What does it look like for me to honor what God's telling us to do in the Bible in my life? And really building not for this world, but building for eternity, building to glorify God, not glorify ourselves or any other earthly thing. So just encourage you guys this week as we consider going through quarantine, as we continue to go through it. I know for many of us kind of just, it's just very repetitive, and it gets kind of easy to get down about stuff and just kind of apathetic towards life and towards this life. And what God promises us is that He will use us if we build our lives towards eternity. Right? So in some sense, what we are doing right now in our lives, if we can focus this on eternal things, right? This quarantine is in no way wasted. Right? As many of us have gone through career changes and job loss and job change and all these different things that have happened as a result of this, right? Maybe our personal lives and in terms of our success, as we would determine it in this world, has been diminished. It's been kind of cut short. But what God's saying is that this is still an opportunity for us to build for eternity, even in this time. So I want to encourage you guys with that. We love you. We will see you guys here next week on Sunday, and then see you guys next week on the Seastone Lowdown.